Hey, what's up YouTube? Today we're gonna go over some quick tips to stay alive in a gauntlet and my character's progression. So at this point, I'm trying to do some more bosses. I have spawned Awakener and I have done Atziri already. And contrary to popular belief, you actually do not need to log out on the Uber Atziri as the Flame Blast is not big enough to actually cover the whole screen. So I don't know why people keep saying that you have to log out for Uber Atziri, but it's just not true. So my character, I'm still playing Berserker Slammer, but it is Berserker Earth Shatter at the moment. I'm still on a 5 link and things are kind of rough, and I'm still trying to get Ailment Immunity. Still don't have a Lion's Roar, but we'll get to that in my gear overview. And I'll probably show a quick clip of the Atziri fight. However, the main problem I see right now is the performance of the game is pretty bad. So right now I have 240 FPS, but earlier when I was doing the fight, this was down to like 50 to 60 FPS. I'm not sure if it's because I'm streaming or how much what's it called, CPU load the game actually has, because it's actually weird. I was about to say that my FPS is bad, but when I'm streaming, I think this is down to like 50 or 60. So maybe it's time to get a streaming PC or something like that. We'll see. Or another PC that takes the load off. But overall, the build has been a blast to play. It is kind of squishy without ailment immunity. And let's go over the gear real fast, and I'm going to go over some tips that I have to stay alive and not die like I do. But let's get straight into it. So for the gear overview, we have the Karui Chopper. At this point in the league, this Karui Chopper is actually an abomination. Like, you should not be doing content or red maps with something this bad. It needs to have attack speed. Not having attack speed is literally the worst thing in the world. You will get hit because your attack animation is too slow. So I have to get a better Karui Chopper ASAP. Now the best ways to get a Karui Chopper is to use Harvest and spam Reforge Fizz. And Reforge Fizz more likely. And before you could actually fracture like flaring or merciless or something like that, but this time it's not possible. You could also try to use Acelene Exalt to try to exalt on Fizz percent, which goes up to 139%. And that allows you to be able to craft on attack speed quality. However, that is pretty hard to do because Acelene Exalts take a while to farm, and you actually will need one on your chest later on. So for the helm, I finally got the chance to avoid Elemental Ailments craft. You get that from doing Bazaar map, and it's a crafting recipe there. So this is just your standard life and double res helm. So in order to get more life overall, so I only have 6.8k. If you see most people practicing in Gauntlet, they have like 8k life. In order to get the most life, every single one of your pieces needs to be like life and then hybrid life and then dual res. Ideally, you would want a fortify helm in this slot. And for a fortify helm, you would need to have a Crusader helmet. I do have a Crusader helmet, but it is not an armor base. But I'm not really sure how much you need an armor base at the moment. It's an Earth Sign Pelt, which is not very good. So yeah, I need to go find a Crusader helmet if possible. Now this amulet, I have a shitty anoint on it. It's risk awareness, and this reduces the reflective physical damage I'm taking, but it really only saves me 1 point. I still need to do more oils. I find blight stuff pretty hard to do with this build, but I will probably allocate slaughter and then take this point, or I will allocate elemental focus, and if I get really good oils, I would allocate crystal skin, which gives me 1% max res along with 15% chance to avoid elemental ailments. So that's quite in the future. So this amulet has my source of mana leech, so it's a pretty important, and it has int. If without this amulet, my int would be like 40 and I wouldn't be able to use some of the skills I have. So this amulet is actually pretty good. Ideally, I would want it on a, what's it called? A dexterity intelligence amulet base, because I'm actually lacking dex, which makes it really annoying. So for the rings, I have a vulnerability ring, so this makes it so that you always apply vulnerability to the boss and you don't need to rely on cast when damage taken. And it has some life on it and a cold and chaos res, so this ring provides a lot of chaos res. And this ring here has the dex on it, has a life and some resist. Now both of these rings are not ideal. Ideally you would want vermilion rings, but to try to get a warlord vermilion ring is probably an impossibility in the gauntlet. but I will try to get it if possible. Now this chest is a 5-link chest. It has armor and evasion, and it's a decent amount of armor and evasion. And it has 100 plus life, which is pretty good. However, it does not have percent life, and it does not have fortify effect while focused, and it does not have ailment and stun immunity, which is absolutely huge. So later on, I will try to get this craft. So you want to have Ace-Link Exalt. You want to Ace-Link Exalt this thing, and this goes up to 45% if you Ace-Link Exalt it. I'm not sure why it's so high, but it's pretty insane. So your ideal chest will have a Temple mod, which is max life and 8% life, and you have this stat here. Probably have some percent armor, some resist, and then you would craft on Fortify effect. If you were super lucky, you could probably double unveil 120% effective Fortify along with this, but that's pretty much just a pipe dream. Now these gloves are spiked gloves. These are very important because of the increased melee damage. And right now I don't have the scours to get 25%. So I only have 22% on that roll. It just has lightning res and some dex. The dex is actually why I'm wearing it. It's actually pretty crazy how dex starved I am. And it has some flat fizz, 1 to 2, not the worst, not the best. Actually, it is the worst, 1 to 2. So these boots I have here, they have a lot of resist and some movement speed, but they're only 42 life. So for the late game pair of boots, I want a 2-tone boots because I need resist. So you craft on one of these pairs, and then you would try to get life, move speed, and try res if possible. So you can see I have a crafting thing, so this is what I use all my harvests on. So you can see harvest is a pretty big aspect of the whole league to try to get your items and essences. That's where you'll mostly be crafting it. So that's why we will be spending all our life in Haywork Hamlet and Valdos to get ancient orbs to get flask. So you see I have a unique flask here I'm trying to use my ancient orbs on. Then I'm trying to go for Riding Jar and a Lion's Roar, but it just hasn't happened yet. Now this is the only lucky piece of gear I feel like I've gone, which is an Elder Leather Belt. Now the Leather Belt, whether it's Elder or Hunter, allows you to get percent life and some life recovery rate if you can get all of the mods. So you would use this and you would just reforge with life more common. So I have this belt and it has 8% life and some T3 life I think, and lightning and chaos res. This belt can get a lot better, but I just haven't been able to fix it because I've been just working on my Atlas, trying to progress it super fast. You can see I'm still at the stage where I'm kind of far behind on getting T16s, and time is ticking because practice is almost over. The event actually starts on Saturday. I don't actually think you can sustain like T15 16s without 115 120 bonus, so I would just try to bump up the bonus as much as possible. And this is just doing more, what's it called, just doing all of the un-ID'd maps, or not un-ID'd maps, the maps you haven't done. So you should go through it. I have stagnation here. You can see which map is not done because it doesn't have that line right there. So these are the maps you need to do to get your bonus up. So even if you're not playing the Gauntlet League, but just in general at League Start, if you find out you don't drop maps, it's because your bonus is too low. So always make sure to get the bonus up in order to get your map sustain as good as possible. And now I just wanted to give some quick tips about how to stay alive in the Gauntlet race. Now I wanted to talk about the number one thing that people die to in the Gauntlet and how you can avoid it. So the main thing that people die to is getting stunned. And then the other thing is having ailments on them. And ailments include getting shocked, getting chilled, getting frozen, and getting ignited. Another reason why like ailments are such a big deal is because if you look at the mods here, you can see that monsters deal 30% extra physical damage as fire, cold, and lightning. So that means most mobs will instantly ignite you, will instantly chill you, and will instantly shock you. And if you get shocked, you are screwed in this game. You literally take nearly double damage when you get shocked. And you can't just rely on flasks all the time, right? So you have these flasks of grounding, heat as warding. And you don't even have dousing half the time. So if you don't have ailment immunity, that means your flask will run out in the boss fight sooner or later, especially if there's only one boss. Like the boss fight is not going to last 8 seconds long. So that means when you're bossing, you will be shocked, you will be chilled, and you'll be frozen, which means that you will be dead. Almost guaranteed. So if you're trying to do bossing without ailment immunity, it's going to be a bad thing. So if you do like Awakener, you're going to get shocked during the beam and you're going to take increased damage. So how do you get ailment immune? So it just becomes this equation of trying to combine all of the numbers to hit 100%. So you can craft 25% on your gloves, you can craft 25% on your helmet, you can craft 30% on your chest, or you can get a 45% Aisling Exalt as a prefix. You can get 15% with the Crystal Skin Anoint, which is this node right here. You can get 10% Anoint from this if you don't have the really expensive oils. This is a lot worse. And then let's see, what else can you get? You can get 30% Elegant Form. This is a cluster jewel for a dodge, and it's a notable. And this is actually probably one of the better solutions, but it's hard to actually get the cluster jewels, because for me personally, I would put the cluster jewel right here, right? Or you could put it over here. So it's not the worst solution, but it is hard to work in. And then you can take 20% from the thick skin life wheel, which is 8%, 4%, 4%, 4%. So this just creates like, it's just trying to add up everything, right? So guarantee you will always want these to 50% because they're free and they just are a suffix. And the next step, the ideal situation is you get 50% here. You get 40% from the Aisling mod, because this roll I think is from like 35 to 45. I'm not sure. So you get 40 from there, and then you get 10% for Elemental Focus. And if you have the oils, 15% from Crystal Skin. And that is the best solution, which is Crystal Skin Anoint, the Aisling Elevated mod on the chest, and 225%. Now, if you can't get the Aisling Elevated mod, you can go for 25, 25, 30, which gives you 80%, right? So 80% means that you will be unable to get 100 without going for a thick skin life wheel. So you could technically go for the thick skin life wheel, and then this will save you an anoint, because you won't need to anoint Crystal Skin or what's it called, or Elemental Focus, and then you can anoint Slaughter or something. The Slaughter is a pretty good node. It gives you attack speed, fizz damage, and it's pretty cheap. It's just 3 of these blue oil things. But that's the more budget option of what you could do. You could also skip the elegant thick skin life wheel if you get Elegant Form, because if you look at how many points it takes to travel there, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 travel points, but these are dex points, so they're not the end of the world to take, because this build is kind of starved on dex. So in the end, it is really important to try to get this ailment immunity up as soon as possible. You will notice that the league will become a lot easier once you have ailment immune. Getting chilled, getting shocked is the sure way to die, and it's just the best thing to focus on in the beginning. So that's why, like, if you want to get level 90, one of the best things I can advise you to do is to play a Hierophant or a Raider. So Hierophant, if you play like a, what's it called, like a cremation build, or even like Ball Lightning, you get this node right here, immune to elemental ailments while you have Arcane Surge, and you gain Arcane Surge when you hit enemy with a spell. So that means you have a conditional ailment immunity, so it's almost always going to be up. Same with Inquisitor. Inquisitors is a lot worse, actually. Consecrated Ground you create grants immunity to elemental ailments to you and allies. So this is not too bad. So if you stand still, you get Consecrated Ground. So that's kind of like ailment immunity in a weird way, although Inquisitor builds are a little weird. And then you have the Raider, which is just ailment immunity while phasing, and you have perma-phasing because of Quartz Infusion. If you played these ones, if you play a Raider, I guarantee you that you will die a lot less than any other build. Minus the fact that you get stunned. Now, for stun immunity, the best way to deal with it is to just be a champion. You get Fortify, and then you cannot be stunned while you have Fortify. And that's easy, right? Slayer has stun immunity. I think it gets... But people don't take this note. So Slayer does not have stun immunity, right? So Slayer is just a roll of the die if you get stunned or not. So that's why people like champions so much for mapping, because you have perma fortify. You don't need to worry about hitting the mobs to get your fortify up, and then you don't need to worry about if you can get stunned or not. So it's just a very good ascendancy for general mapping to help you stay alive. Berserker does have some stun thing, cannot be stunned while you have at least 25 rage. Obviously this is very what's it called, conditional, and there's no guarantee that you'll actually get it. But basically, that's why everyone likes champion, right? The getting stunned is a bad thing, but it's pretty hard to deal with. You could also be unwavering stance, but not having the evasion and not being able to evade attacks is also pretty bad. And another person has stun immunity, and it's our beloved Ascendant, which is right here, Juggernaut. cannot be chilled, cannot be stunned. However, Ascendant is just a really bad ascendancy in general for the Gauntlet, so would not really advise playing it either. But hopefully this opens your eyes to what you actually need to do to survive. Ailment immunity is key. The problem is getting here because you have to get T15 Bazaar in order to get these crafts. And it's just a matter of surviving before then. So make sure not to roll your maps too crazy, because without ailment immunity, your character will be dead. And make sure not to do any bossing without ailment immunity, as you will run out of flats and you will get shocked and then you will die. But basically, that's the #1 tip I have for how to stay alive. And I'm going to show you a quick video of the Atziri just to show you case that the double flame blast is not as big as it seems, or that people make it out to be, that you have to actually log out.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the.
So I hope that video is pretty cool to see what AoE looks like on a Atziri fight. Hopefully in the coming days, in the next video, I'll have like Uber Elder, Uber, Atziri Shaper, and Awakener all done, because I should be able to farm most of the sets tomorrow. Wasn't able to really play a lot, and I was just fixing gear a lot. I don't know, I just had to map a lot more efficiently. If you want to do well, you have to make sure to always just constantly be putting in maps and not dealing too much with stash management things. Just have the map, roll it, and then put it in, and then make sure not to roll some dangerous mods and pay attention. And if you're struggling with your Atlas bonus, make sure to get this bonus to like 100, 120. The higher the better, and the easier you'll be able to sustain, and you'll be able to get to late game and start farming. And I'll probably make a video, the next one, about how to farm for your gear, because it all comes down to this region over here, which is essences and harvest. And then you get Valdos. You can use this for map sustain and to use your Acelings. It's like the same deal. Light Encounter, and then this one. So basically, the God regions are still alive. It's Valdos and it's Haywark Hamlet. Who would have thought any different, right? We're still playing the same maps every time. Hopefully next league they'll change it up a little bit. But if you enjoy my content, be sure to like and subscribe. I might have a cool announcement tomorrow, but we'll see. Yeah. I stream every day on Twitch. Come say hi and ask me whether it's about the Aura Stacker or any Gauntlet builds that you might have in mind. Or maybe help me out with my build, because someone helped me out and notice I was actually running 2 Jade Flasks. I just wasn't paying attention. The Jade Flasks actually do not stack, or having 2 Flasks do not stack. But thanks for watching, and I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do, and you stay alive in the Gauntlet or whatever league you're playing if it's hardcore. But see you next time, and have a good day.